physically sick, to be honest. I'm rapidly falling out of love with football. I just wonder what's the point anymore, you know.
Skipper Schindler has a chance to write his name in Huddersfield Town legend. And he takes that chance!
I'm rapidly falling out of love with football, to be honest with you. Welcome to the warm-up episode 89. I'm your host, Brady Frost, and to preview the game against Blackburn Rovers, I'm joined by Tom Bradshaw and David Siddell. Tom, I normally ask you, how are you, first of all? Let's go with that. How are you?
I'm good, Brady. How are you?
I'm okay. Thank you for asking. I'm going to break the habit of asking you questions, kind of, but obviously disappointing defeat last night, I think it's fair to say. So to offer some words of comfort to the Town fans, we'll take this as like a little restorative opener if you've ever been on one of those unfortunate training courses. But restorative opener, what do you guys do when any advice for the Town fans after a disappointing defeat? What do you guys do? Tom, I'll come to you first, put you on the spot because you look so ready.
What do I do when Town lose? Well, if I'm there, I'll go straight to the pub.
Right.
And have a couple of drinks and try have a laugh about it. And then if not, I just put something that's funny on TV, try to forget about it, to be honest. If it's really bad, I'll get on YouTube and I'll watch the playoff. I'll watch promotion season playoff finals.
There you go. Plenty of things. What about you, Dave? What's your kind of tonic?
Turn it off and just forget about it, to be honest. I'll just stick on like Only Fools and Horses or something like that, just to try and then hope I've got a couple of beers in the fridge or something to help drown it out. But yeah, try not to wallow on it, but sometimes it's unavoidable.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was a kid, I used to immediately go on FIFA and play the result and be like, no, we actually won. What do I do now? I think, I moan about it. Well, at the moment, it's either moan about it to Joe or James or in the pod group chat, and then, just forget about it. Because Tom, as a podcast we listen to, both of us, they regularly say football is a game for children. So I'm sure that'll calm everyone down.
It is. Do you know, at the end of the day, right, it's just a bunch of kids kicking a ball around. And you just got to enjoy it when the highs are there and just deal with it when the lows are there, aren't you?
Absolutely. I think I've said on this podcast before, but when I took my girlfriend to see a couple of the Town games last season, she said, oh my God, football is just old unfit men shouting at young fit men. And to be honest, it's hard to disagree. Anyway, it's time for us to shout at some young fit men because we're going to talk a little bit about the Sunderland result briefly because there's no Twitter spaces. Tom, what did you make of the game, really? It was disappointing, wasn't it?
It was, but I don't think Town particularly played that bad. I mean, I think Tony Mowbray called us exceptional or something, which maybe is a bit too far. But I think he was right in the fact that we did play some decent football. We were just lacking someone to finish it off, and maybe we were just lacking someone with a bit better delivery. So Sorba was probably quite a big miss, to be honest. And then we just looked knackered, didn't we? At about maybe, especially after the Pritchard goal went in, it just seemed to be like knock the wind out of her sails, and that was it. Don't boo. Just don't boo players coming back. It never ends well. And Pritchard, do you know what? I mean, and this would have been worse not booing him because he just really didn't deserve anything for me, an applaud or a boo, because he was that kind of nothing for Town. So, yeah, in future, don't boo players returning. But I'll let you boo Carlos Corberán, though. That's allowed.
Well, I think you're becoming the expert, our boo expert here, and when it's appropriate to boo and not.
Yeah.
We said, didn't we, when if listeners did have a chance to listen to our Sunderland preview, which we did while you were in a London Wetherspoons at 8 a.m, We knew he was going to score. And to be honest, I was really annoyed because I thought he was having a really bad game. That move for their goal was particularly well worked. But yeah, you just knew. And then the celebration.
Fair play to him.
Yeah,
you do it because that's going to wind Town fans up more. But imagine playing for a club. How long was he at Town? 4 years. Turning up and not getting any kind of reception. That'd be worse in my eyes. Like if they just basically did nothing.
Yeah.
So there's a little thing for the future.
I mean, we boo players who scored goals to keep us up, mate. I mean, fans boo whoever, don't they? But I think you should change your Twitter bio to certified booing expert.
Maybe I'll come up with an algorithm first. How what levels of booing and applauding can certain players get?
Yeah, expected boos, XB.
I think the Bradshaw scale of booing would be a.
So, Dave, your thoughts on Sunderland? I think me and Tom were still thinking we were in that spoons. I wasn't in the spoons. Spiritually, I was. But yeah, what did you think of last night?
Didn't play well for parts of it, but we just haven't got anything in the final third, really, and it kind of shows. Like, we don't really look to do anything other than put balls into the box. Like, their first goal was just a nice set move, and we didn't have anything like that. We built it up a little bit, win some second balls, but then really we're just creating like snapshots or just balls that are pretty easy to defend against. So we're not doing anything to really test them. Like, I thought really keeper again didn't really have a whole lot to do, to be honest. And the chances that we did create, we should have put away, especially the Holmes one. Also thought the Jackson one as well in the second half after 1-0 when he had the shot that went wide of the near post. Like, I think you have to be doing a lot better there, like putting that across goal, even if it's not on. I think that should be a goal as well. But you'd be putting it across, someone might get a foot on it or something. But other than that, there's got to be more to our play than just putting a ball into a box, really. Yeah, I thought little bits are okay, but then also we're a championship club. Like, players should be able to pass the ball about a bit. I think standards maybe have to be a bit higher if we're sort of thinking professional footballers on $6-7 grand a week being able to pass the ball out the back is good.
That's a good point. And I know you've kind of talked about the attacking output or the lack of it last night, but fans always want to blame something for the defeat. Do you think anyone or anything is at fault for this? I know we had a few injuries. What are you thinking?
I think it's just sort of collective, really. I mean, I don't think anyone's really at fault for the first goal. I think sometimes you just have to hold your hands up and say that was a nice move. Fair play to him. I think really, if we want looking, it's probably we didn't recruit enough quality going forward in the summer. We knew we were always going to struggle for goals, and we didn't really ever address that at all. We brought in, for a lot of our injuries, we still put out a pretty good back four, I think, really, or at least players have been brought in. I mean, in theory on Saturday we could have a back four of Ruffles, who was starting first choice left back, Boyle, who was brought in to replace Sarr, Helik, and maybe Kessler Hayden or Spencer, but there's three of those players we brought in as improvements to our squad from last year. So, but yeah, I don't think he addressed any of the issues really in the attacking third. If I was put a fault, I'd say it was that.
Yeah, I mean, Tom, anything else you want to add on the Sunderland game before we move on?
I think it's one of the worst things. Look, right, we're in a bad position, aren't we? But I mean, it was a bad result last night. But one of the worst things that's come out of it is the amount of injuries that seem to have occurred before and during that game. Sounds like Uta's out now for rest of the season, and I haven't heard anything on Jackson yet, but it doesn't look good when anyone goes off on a stretcher, does it? So I
thought that was a really bad tackle on Jackson, to be honest, in the second half. Like, I thought the referee was a bit,
he just got a yellow
there. To go in that high on a player like in those conditions is pretty reckless, to be honest. was a bit lucky there.
Yeah.
No, I think we've talked about it before on Schofield, where there's games where we feel like we can, we could get relegated. I think, I put a tweet out last night saying the jury's still out on Fotheringham for me. I think it's hard to judge. I think any manager would have struggled with the injuries we had during the game, like I said, before the game. But yeah, just it feels like the season we had under Cowley, and this isn't just specific to managers, but just with Town, like the other team score and that's it. We do feel like that side where it's like that Pritchard goal absolutely killed us. It was a well-worked move, but I wasn't confident of us getting anything. And I think that's the thing, and I saw Stephen Chicken in his five conclusions today said, we've lost to the three promoted teams from League One, and like it hurts to say it, but we're the worst team in the league. Like, we are the worst team in the league at the moment. I think we're going to probably, with the recent form, maybe challenging us, but we deserve to be where we are. I just don't think we're playing well, although the performances have been better, and I don't think last night was the worst performance we put in this season. Just I wasn't confident we were going to get anything out of it once they scored. But yeah, I realised I might be bumming us out. I don't know what you think, Tom or Dave.
I don't know. I think it's what have we got? 3 games. 3 games, is it, till the break?
Yeah.
We're only 5 points off 21st, I think, with a game in hand. So I think we've got to be at least, this is minimum, getting 3 points from those 3 games, just so that you're not going to maybe go over like if something crazy happened and you went about 13, 14 points away from the team in 21st. I think at least that's the one thing we've got on a side, is that it's still really tight, but we really need something from these next 3 games.
Yeah, agreed. I suppose let's come on to the game on Saturday then. Bonfire night, trip to Ewood Park for Town. Although, just to clarify, they're playing at 3:00. They're not playing in the evening. But yeah, we travel to Ewood Park. The task doesn't really get any easier for Town, because Blackburn is second in the table. However, slight bit of comfort. They did lose last time out to Coventry 1-0, and I think weirdly Blackburn are second, but I think I checked the table and they've won 11 and lost 8, which is bizarre. So they are really kind of a Jekyll and Hyde side. So maybe we could catch them on a bad day. Tom, do you think? Actually, sorry, I keep coming to Tom. Dave, I'm going to come to you. It's because me and Tom have done so many pods just together. Dave, do you think Town could maybe get something out of this? I suppose it's relying on Blackburn maybe having one of those bad days though.
Yeah, I mean, I think you want to go into every game thinking you're going to get something. I mean, it's hard after last night to put sort of an analytical head on it. I still feel a bit disappointed from the performance, but not the performance, but the result probably rather than the performance. But you probably get a draw there, or probably get the first draw of the season there. But I do struggle to see us getting a result, or at least a win. I don't see where we're going to score the goals that are needed to get a result at Blackburn, if I'm honest. And to say we don't know what team we're going to put out, with Jackson and Utah out potentially for a while. We don't know if Leeds will be available on Saturday. So yeah, I struggle to see for all the games where we're going to score the goals. We scored 1 goal in 4 games, and to be honest, that was a fluke of a goal. I don't think. So yeah, I think it's going to be a tough ask. I think best case I think is if we can sneak a 0-0 sort of like Middlesbrough sort of performance. So hopefully one of you two be a bit more positive than me there. But yeah, I'm just struggling to see where we're going to get a win from. To be honest, I mean. So that we don't really talk about Blackburn, but after that we got QPR away, Swansea at home, and then we go to Sheffield United after the break in Watford. That's pretty tough next 5.
Dave, you're bumming me out, man. Tom.
Blackburn have only lost 2 in 7 home games. And those are 7 wins, I believe. I don't think they've drawn yet at home. So I don't.
That's not helping.
Yeah, no. So the odds, the odds are definitely not in his favour. Any positives to take into that? I mean, like you've touched on, Brady, they're up in second and they've lost. Did you say 8 games?
Mm-hmm.
That's this league. This has to be the tightest this league has ever been, I think, this season. So that's one positive I can take going into Saturday. But yeah, it's Siddell listing off all those injuries. It's like, God, we will be playing the under-19 soon, won't we?
Well, yeah, I suppose some fans were saying we were doing that last night.
Well, yeah, but they're the B team. You're going even lower, I think, soon.
Well, half the B team's out on loan anyway, aren't they?
Yeah.
Maybe we could loan players from Harrogate Town, as soon as we've learned something. Do us a favour, Harrogate. Okay, I'll try and be positive. Yeah, I mentioned they've lost 8 games in a row. I know we're a much different side last season, but we went there and got a 0-0 last season. It can happen. Big Will Boyle's probably going to come in and have an absolute blinder. You've heard it here first. That's more of a hope. But the second goal was because we were pushing everyone forward. And the first goal was a really well-worked move. I think we are a lot more solid defensively is the only thing I would say. Goals is the issue, but we could frustrate them. And, I know a couple of Blackburn fans and I've seen on the timeline, they have been quite frustrated by teams at times. They are, as I mentioned, they put in some stinkers. When they lose, they play awful. And, famous last words here, but they are struggling to convert chances. It either works for them or it doesn't, which is so just with a little bit of luck and maybe a tight defensive unit, I think we could get a draw, but again, I can't really see us scoring. Maybe we could nab something from a set piece. Sorba's back. I think we really missed him, even though we've not been really firing attacking wise. So I don't know. I don't think it's a write-off. Look how I was feeling down about Millwall. Tom, you touched on it. This league is incredibly tight, and anyone can beat anyone on the day. So that's all I can hope. But let's bum ourselves out a bit more. Key players for Blackburn. Dave, who stood out for you?
So I've gone for my traditional lover centre midfielder. I've gone for Tyler Morton, who's on loan from Liverpool. I think this one of the sides I this point we didn't make in the summer really. I think he complemented what we've got in midfield well. Just a very, very tidy midfielder, can spread the play well, but also keeps his discipline in that shape in the midfield. So I've gone for him.
Lovely. I'm going to jump in here. I went for his midfield partner. I went for Adam Wharton. I think he's been really, I've not watched Blackburn loads, but he's really impressed me. I think he's got really good ability on the ball and he's quite tenacious. And I think that's a really good, nice duo, Wharton and Morton. And it's nice to say. So that's why I've gone for it. But yeah, no, they've got some good players. Tom, you're going to list the lineup, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. So obviously there's Bradley Dack in there. There's Diaz, who has carried on from last season, it looks like. That Tyler Dolan, the winger, looks all right as well. A few assists already this season. But then I've picked that Harry Pickering, who's been in the lineup quite a lot. I just look at the ages of that squad as well, and they've got some really good young players in it. And it just makes me a bit. I'm not saying our lads aren't good, our youngsters, but it just feels like. I mean, this year they're being given the chance not for the right reasons, if that makes sense. They're kind of being thrown in because they need to be there. Whereas I look at Blackburn and you look at Diaz, what is he? He's only 23 and he's been in and around that squad now for the last 3 or 4 seasons. So, yeah, I just think are we doing it right? I really like this model of the B team and stuff, but are we giving our young players the chances earlier on? Maybe not. But yeah, another really good squad we're coming up against, I think, Brady.
Mm. And, you know, Harry Pickering is obviously the son of Ronnie Pickering, famous for that. He's not, by the way, listener. That was just a little joke for you there. But what a great video. One of the top... Side note, do you guys like those road rage videos? I think they're quite funny.
So the Ronnie Pickering one's great. But do you know the one where the guy's on the bike, like there's the guy on the bike who's been a bit of a jobsworth and he's like follows the guy around but really winds him up and he's like, I'm gonna knock your block off, and then he gets out of the car, runs after the bike, goes to kick the back wheels and absolutely stacks it. I think that's my favourite one.
Oh, that is a great one. That is a great one. Yeah. I think nothing sums up this country more than those for me. But anyway, Tom, talk to me anyway. What's the view from the other side heading into this one?
Well, I caught up with Ryan from Rovers Chat to ask him about how good Blackburn are and how they will destroy us on Saturday.
We've lost to a pub side. We've literally lost to a pub side.
What are your thoughts on your season so far?
Thoughts on the season so far? We've got to largely be happy with the start that we've made. I think before the season, a lot of fans were obviously wondering what would happen post Tony Mowbray. Jon Dahl Tomasson's a new manager coming into the Championship. Young squad, you know, we've got lots of academy graduates that have made the first team squad this season. So I think lots of uncertainty going into this season. But largely we've been happy. You know, we've won lots of games. We've not drawn yet. And by qualification, we've obviously lost lots of games as well. So I think that's the only blot on the copybook this season with the number of games that we have lost. Would have been nice if some of those losses were draws, for example. And certainly some of the performances away from home have been quite dreadful, actually. Wigan away, Cardiff away, and our last away game, Coventry, really abject performances. So that's a little cause for concern for the fans. But no, largely we're playing a really good brand of football, particularly at home. You know, we've won 5 games on the bounce at home. We play a really fluid formation in the attacking areas as well. So Brereton Diaz from the left is obviously the main man, and then we've got players like Ryan Hedges, Tyrese Dolan, Sam Gallagher, who all equally play their part in those attacking positions as well. So I think, yeah, we're really happy. You know, we sit in second as we stand. Looks like we'll be in the top 6 going into that World Cup break. So, you know, I don't think many fans would have put us in the top 6 before the season. So I'd say the fan base are largely happy with the start to the season.
Who's performing well for Blackburn and who should Town look out for on the weekend?
A few standout performers for us so far this season. Dominic Hyam is an absolute snip from Coventry City. It's reported it's about 1.5 million that we signed him for. He is looking at a sensational centre-back for us, just so calm under pressure. He's got good yard of pace on him as well, so he can cut off those balls in behind, and he covers the right channel really well as well when we're playing a attacking right back or right wing back. Dominic Hyam essentially is playing 2 positions, so he's been brilliant for us. We've got a number of academy graduates that have made the squad this season, as I mentioned before. Adam Wharton has really broke in as an 18-year-old. Ash Phillips, a 17-year-old, he's played at centre-back as well. And then Jake Garrett also. So, you know, shout out to all the academy graduates. Obviously, Brereton Diaz has got 8 goals this season. He started the season really well again. He's also playing well. And then Tyler Morton, who we've got on loan from Liverpool, another youngster in the middle of the park. He's been playing alongside Adam Wharton and or Lewis Travis in recent weeks, but he looks a very, very good footballer. Whether he makes it full-time at Liverpool in the future, that probably remains to be seen, but he's certainly destined for the Premier League level. Very neat and tidy on the ball, can dictate the play, good range of passing, and looks a real talent. So, you know, they're the ones that I'm reserving for particular praise so far this season.
And what score will you beat us on Saturday? What score will the game be on Saturday?
We've got to be confident going into the game. Certainly the home form has been fairly impressive this season. 5 wins on the bounce, as I've mentioned, and we've beaten some good sides at home this season. We have had that unique run at times in this season, you know, the win-lose, and we looked like we'd put that to bed in some recent games, but that game away at Coventry has just brought a little niggle back into the eyes of the supporters. So I'm sure that the players and Jon Dahl Tomasson are going to be looking for a response at home to Huddersfield this Saturday, and I fully expect us to get that. Ewood Park, as I say, has been a fortress, and when we have lost a game, we've invariably followed it up with a win, such as that sequence that I mentioned earlier. So yeah, expecting a fairly routine 2-0 victory for Rovers. And then obviously that will then lead us into the big one away at Turf Moor the following Sunday before the World Cup break.
And there we go.
I love how you just lead in with we're going to get a thrash. Although you did that for Millwall, so maybe the positives.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Right. Well, I tell you what. Let's take a break. Let's recompose ourselves and get some positivity in, and we'll come back and do the mailbag. Okay, so we've had our break. I think it's time for one thing and one thing only. It's time for the mailbag.
You've got mail.
Okie doke. So, Josh Phillips, do you remember him? He used to be, a former co-host on here. But we don't like to talk about the past, Tom. It's only about the future and going
I'd
forward.
boo Josh if he came back on the pod.
We can make that happen. Josh asks, and just to caveat this, Josh is very, he's got opinions on Fotheringham, that's all I'll say, heading into this one. But I, to give him credit, I think this is a valid question. Josh asks, if we lose the next 3, do we pull the trigger with Mark Fotheringham? I cannot see any way we stay with him in charge. To be fair, I can barely see anyone staying up if they came in anyway. Who wants to tackle that fun question? Dave, what about you?
I think unless you know who you want to get, there's no point. So it's easy enough to say, get rid of the manager, but it's still quite early into a project. I mean, if you're going to be judging him on results, really, you've got a 3 and a bit 4-week window for him to really, hopefully, get his ideas across. But this I think is a bit short-termist, really. I mean, if you have somebody lined up, and someone's come available, and you think they're going to improve us, then you pull the trigger. If the results don't improve, but otherwise you end up back where you were 6 weeks ago, and then if that doesn't work in 6 weeks' time, do you repeat the process? I guess real sort of questions really have to be around that as well. If we do get relegated, it's looking likelier. Is he the guy that you think is going to take us up long term? Do we think if we're taking this step back, is he going to be able to take us that step forwards? I'm not 100% convinced he is, but again, he hasn't really had the time for me yet either. So I wouldn't get rid of him if we lost the next 3, to be honest. I think there's a bit more to it than that, but yeah, I'm not still on the fence, I'd say, with Fotheringham at the moment.
Tom, what about you? What are your thoughts?
So for me, right, this is all hypothetical, pretty much. But if the money's there and he was down to do it, and like Siddell said, if he's up for it and there's been talks, all that, then Chris Wilder's there and he in the out there. But that's not going to happen. And I actually think Fotheringham has improved this squad. Might not be loads, but he has a bit, and I think you can see that. But then I'm just repeating what Siddell said because it's spot on. Do you stick with him if we go down, and do you think he could take us forward? It's really difficult. You've got to have someone lined up if you're getting rid of him, though. You can't just be getting rid of him and then spending the time we did after getting rid of Schofield trying to find someone else, because then you're gone. You've got to have someone basically up until the World. When we go on that break, it's got to be like, all right, we've got someone, they're in, boom, welcome, here we go. But I think he's got to have till the end of the season. now, or we just become a bit of a joke, really?
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you both on this. I still can't make my mind up about Fotheringham. I don't think he's had long enough for anyone to really judge him. I think with Schofield, I think it was a bit more obvious, and I agree with you, Tom. Like, Town fans won't like to hear this because, again, judging by some of the reactions to my tweet, but like, I think he has improved us. Like, the bar is low, but I think we are slightly better under him. But I think the question you really got to ask is, like, Lee Bromby admitted that if this doesn't work out, like, he's got to look at himself. And I just think for that, like, I don't think they'll do it, because then it's just like, they've talked a lot about this process, and we've talked a lot on here about how they've lost managers because they're adamant this process works. And to be fair, it nearly worked last season. I just don't see him doing it. And in fairness to Fotheringham, like, I still don't think you can really blame him on this. Like, I'm with you, Tom. I think he should get to the end of the season, really. Who knows? 4 weeks on the training ground and investment in January. Whether you think investment's going to happen, I know Dean's stepping away from day-to-day operations, but if you want to sell the club, a Championship club is more attractive than a League One club. You're going to get more money. That's the facts. So yeah, I think, I don't know. It's like, who do you have in? I don't think they'll do it, because then it's criticising their methods, which they think will work, and you don't really have a case to answer for if you do that. I don't really know who'd realistically come in unless we said, we're going to give you millions of pounds, and I'm not sure I see Town doing that. So yeah, Josh, I don't know. Even if we lose the next 3, I don't think we get rid of him. Yeah, that's there. Yeah, either of you want to add anything to that before we move on?
No, I don't. I think you're right. It'd be, even if we did lose the next 3, I think he'll be still here.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll move on. John Broadley asks, how likely is it we lose Sorba Thomas in the January window, especially if we're even more adrift and Carlos is at West Brom? I don't think, well, just to jump in here, West Brom don't really have loads of money. They're having loads of ownership issues, so I don't see Sorba going to West Brom. I don't know. He's got a few assists this season, but he's been really crucial for us, but I don't know if anyone would have a sniff at him in January. I think if we got relegated, I could see him going in summer. Dave, do you think there's any likelihood Sorba would go in Jan?
I mean, part of me thinks he might be better off going in January than at the end of this. He might command a higher fee in January with the sort of January window inflation. I mean, depends what money's floating about. I can't see him going to a Premier League club. I think if he'd go, it'd be to like a Burnley or a Norwich, or seem to sort of like pushing for promotion that has sort of like 6, 7, 8 million pounds to spend, because I think that's kind of what, even if you don't think he's worth it, I think that's what the value we should be placing on him because of his worth to us and the team. Because I think if he was sold, like that's kind of what's done, unless we bring in a ready-made replacement, really, not a project player. It'd have to be someone that can get you 5, 6 goals and 7 or 8 assists in that second half of the season. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't rule it out, but I don't think it's particularly likely for the fee we probably command to sell him in January.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. I can't really see him going to a Prem. That's no disrespect to him, but yeah, I don't really see anyone coming in for him. I mean, who knows? It depends what happens in the bottom 3. Maybe someone takes a gamble. Tom, do you think we'll say see you to Sorba and Jan?
A lot of factors in there. Imagine if he starts getting in that team in the World Cup, shows up there. You never know. And I think it'll spot on. If it's looking bad by January and it's basically like, well, job done, really, we're not getting out of this, then the situation we're potentially in. And yeah, you're probably going to see him gone if good money comes in January.
I suppose just to touch on this question then, and again, these are all hypotheticals, but like you said, Dave, say we got like 7 million for Sorba. Would you take that if a Town won't invest 7 million back into the squad, but would you take it if they spent 4 million and got players to boost the squad and improve the kind of span of the team?
I think maybe would. I think kind of sort of is the model I think we follow. We look to sell players for maximum value, then reinvest that to make the squad better. So yeah, I mean, obviously he has like a 7. I think at the moment he has like goes to World Cup, gets a couple of goals, couple of assists. He might be looking at like a 10, 11 million pound player. But I still think it's unlikely. I mean, I don't really see us investing 3 or 4 million on 3 or 4 players. I think maybe we might be better off spending like 2.5 million, 3 million on maybe 2 players to invest rather than spreading it out. Try invest in some like more targeted quality that is proven than sort of invest in projects in the summer. Whereas if we're going to sell in January, I think we have to invest in proven quality players if we're going to get out of it.
Yeah. Tom, same question. I'm jumping in the mailbag here.
Great. Same thing. Same answer, basically.
Stop agreeing, guys. I want you to disagree. This makes it a bad podcast. CPHTFC.Cowshed asks, how are you going to change form home and away? Well, first of all, Town fans, no matter where you are, you may be my guiding star. That's a little reference if you know. Be better. That's how you're going to change it. Be defensively, basically try and win as many home games as possible. But going for it, shut up, shop away. Get as many points as possible. I don't know. I think just back four go solid. Feel free to jump in, either of you.
Comes a bit down to leadership in the team as well and what happens on the training ground. I think we always forget that the work you put in on the training ground is reflected on a match day. And I think maybe part of the problem a little bit is he hasn't had that time on the training ground to reflect what he wants to do. If you're playing Saturday, Tuesday, you're spending 2-3 sessions a week just recovering. But where we went just lacked a little bit of leadership really, or someone who was able to sort of control the game or be able to sort of guide some of the younger players. Because I did think there was sort of some positive. I thought, Kamara, I thought had quite a good game. I think Spencer is a cross away from becoming a better right back. I thought some of his balls in, but his movement and his runs, his overlapping runs, I thought were particularly good. Mm-hmm. But then there wasn't really anybody then after that guiding players through. We had sort of a 20-minute spell after they scored where we didn't really do a great deal. We just sort of putting aimless balls into a box, and it kind of felt like maybe if Hogg or maybe Pearson or Lees maybe would have been there talking some of the younger players through and calming it down a bit. But yeah, I think you just have to make sure the training ground just work, and hope that then gets reflected on the field.
Yeah, and I mean, Lees is he was just ill, wasn't he? Hopefully that's not too serious. But I suppose the other positive is we will have Hogg, Andrew, Lees, Pearson coming back, and that's 3 of those players are leaders, aren't they? So that's a big point. Tom, anything to add?
So that was about winning home and away. And how do you
change the form?
Change that. I don't know if I agree with this, but I can't remember which manager we had recently who kind of targeted games for points. I can't remember who said. Was it the Cowleys?
I think it was the Cowleys. They tend to have that sort of planning mentality.
But I think when you're in that situation, so we've got 29 games left. I think we've got to be. So the easy thing is we need to be winning at least 13. So what do you think? 39 points more, and you're definitely going to stay up, aren't you, in this season, I think, given how tight it is. It's normally around the 50 mark. So
yeah, so we're on 15 points. So we'd need 35. So what's that? That's
12 then.
12 wins. Yeah.
I think you've really got to be home form's got to be awesome, and then you've just got to go away and just be a pain, basically. I think. I also think when you go away, sometimes it depending on who it is. If you start really well as the away team and put them on the back foot, and you come up against a team who've got a group of fans who are maybe they're in a bit of a downer and they get on their backs quick. I always think that's quite good. So it depends. So it's like it is going to be targeting certain games. I think that you think you can get something out of. Yeah, you should bring the Cowleys up and ask them how they did it.
Sure, Town fans would love that. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, the thing is as well, like who would have thought we'd beat Millwall? Do you know what I mean? Like form does matter, but maybe Town. There is we even saw under that Cowley season. What did we go like 8 unbeaten when they came in? Like we are. Surely we're going to have a good spell of form at some point. You'd like to think. So I don't know. There's still 2/3 of the season. There's a positive for you. So we'll see. Okay, we'll move on. This is the last question we're going to take from the mailbag this week. I liked this one. I sent you this guys in advance because everyone loves talking about transfers. Andrew asks, which Premier League loan could be brought in to make a difference in January, or even a short signing, like a free agent on a short-term contract? He quoted Sonogo and Nias, but then he said, but clearly better than those two. Poor Nias, he didn't even get to play for Town. So, so I had to think about this, and then I'll throw it to you guys. But I think depending on what Villa do, obviously Unai Emery is coming in. But if we could, I imagine Kesler Hayden, if he's not making matchday squads, he's going to be sent back. Maybe that harms that relationship with Villa. That's a good point. But let's say this didn't happen. Who would I want? I'd want us to go for Cameron Archer from Villa. He has been getting minutes, but it's kind of the last 10 minutes of a game, last 9 minutes. So unless that changes under Emery, I wouldn't be surprised if he's available for loan. He was great at Preston last season. He's quick and he has a go. I went to the England under 21 games they had at the John Smith's, and he came on and he was just so direct and just like basically scored a goal by just running at him and blasting it as hard as he could. And I think we could really do with that. Whether that happens is another thing, but that's someone I'd really like. Dave, you're probably a bit more educated on this than me.
I wouldn't go that far there. I had a couple of sides. So this lad at Spurs called Harvey White, who's a centre midfielder. I think probably my other two appearances have been crying out about centre midfield, but I think he'd complement our existing midfielders very well. He's a very, very tidy player, prefers to play well, links up between attack and defence and number 10 and midfield as well. He's got a great free kick in him, which is always a good asset to have. And then also, not really a short term, but there's a player in Holland. Let me bring up my notes, called Vito van Kroo, who plays for Sparta Rotterdam. He's got six goals and 4 assists in 12 games. He's only 26 years old, but he can play anywhere across the attacking three. Aggressive, technical player. So I think it'd fit in well with what we've got there. And I don't think the wages would be within our sort of bracket too. Those sort of two targets I came up with.
I like it. Names haven't. I've heard of White, but yeah, get them done. That's why I say Lee Bromby if you're in the recruitment team, if you're listening. Tom, anyone you singled out?
No, I'm rubbish at this kind of thing, Brady. I mean, I had a look at who's free agents. I went with like players that had been in the Championship last season. Correct me if any of these are now somewhere, but I mean, can you get someone like Vidra for half a season to go up front for Town? Izzy Brown, but I mean, his injuries are just that's his problem, isn't it? Aaron Lennon, you know what I mean? I mean, a bit of experience. And then you see familiar face Fraser Campbell and Yaya Sano go down there who were like, these are players who are free transfers now who last played in the Championship. So I don't know, Sammy Amiobi as well. But do any of those cry out to you? I think maybe if you took a punt on Vidra for half a season, he might at least score you, I don't know, 8 goals or something like that. But then you've just got 3 strikers over the age of 30, haven't you? So
yeah, I mean, you got Tyrese Simpson coming back as well, to be fair. But the thing is with Vidra, I'm surprised no one's picked him up. He must have been on, because he was at Burnley and he wasn't a starting striker. But I'd look at his.
So I thought he had a knee injury for a while, which is why he wasn't being picked up.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, there you go. But he had 3 goals and 2 assists and he only started 5 games for Burnley last season. He came off the bench a lot, so I don't know. Maybe would you take a risk? But again, I think this kind of says the state of town. If that's kind of the players we're looking at. I don't know. We'll see. But I enjoyed that. I was, made me feel like I was recruiting for a name. But no, thanks for that. Okay, cool. So let's move on to your other boss. So this is because of those injuries we've got in the Sunderland game. I think this is an interesting one. So the previous lineup was the 4-2-3-1. So we had Spencer, Helik, Nakayama, and Ruffles, Kasuma and Kamara, Holmes, Radoni, Jackson, and Rhodes. Obviously, we're going to have to make some changes because Nakayama and probably Jackson aren't going to make this. So, Dave, what would you do? Would you keep the same formation?
I think I'm going to switch to three at the back. If I'm honest, probably going to get pelted for it, but I'd actually bring Mbete back into the starting lineup. I think we need to show to clubs we're prepared to develop players as well. If we're looking at loans in January and we've bombed out 2 of them, I don't think that's going to send a particularly positive message. So I'd probably have obviously Nick Nichols in goal, and put Ruffles at wing back with Mbete, Lees and Helik, and then I'd keep Spencer at right back if we're not be playing Kessler Hayden. I'd also bring Russell back into the team because I think you've got to give Kamara a little bit of a break, I think, as well. We don't want to be sort of running these young players into the ground, which is sort of like a common mistake. We sort of, if not just Town, but a lot of clubs make it sort of some of the common, 18, 19 years old, play sort of 10, 15, 20 games in quick succession and be out injured for the next couple of years with various different injuries because they're still developing and adapting to full-time football. And then Thomas comes back in for me, and I was sort of weighing up between Holmes and Radoni in behind Ward. Sort of went with Holmes because I think he'll probably work that little bit harder, which we probably need against Blackburn, and bring Radoni on later on. But that one was kind of just a flip of a coin, really, if I'm honest there. That sort of be my 11.
Yeah, I like it. I think I don't know. I kind of got to give Russell a chance, I think, as well. And you spot on. I know Town fans won't like it about Mbete, but if we do want to get loan players in Jan, you spot on. We need to play him. Tom, what would you do for the lineup in this one?
Yeah, I think the Siddell, the three at the back is possibly what you might have to do. But if you're going to do the 4, you may be relying on Lees being fit, or it's going to be Boyle that's going to go in for where Nakayama was. Probably going to be the same back 4, isn't it? If he's going for a 4, but not Nakayama, and probably Boyle if Lee's still injured. I mean, he might put Mbete in there as well, but no, he's in between 2, what you would say are more experienced players, so you never know. I think Russell, get Russell in for this one. Like Siddell says, Kamara, you don't want to be tiring him out. I'd drop Kasumu further back again into that where Holmes seemed to be playing the other night. And then I don't know who else. I mean, I'd get Kessler Hayden back in there potentially. I'd have him on the left side attacking, because I thought at the start of the season that's one thing he looked really good at. He looked to run at players, he took on players, and his delivery was all right. So I'd be giving him a shout again, I think.
Cool. Yeah, I think I'd probably keep the back 4 because obviously we played that Borough a bit, and against Millwall, I'd probably put Will Boyle in, just because I think if Lees was ill the other night, I'm not sure he's going to be ready for Saturday. Obviously, if he is, put him back in. But I think Boyle, I know people have kind of laughed, but he's not really started a full game. So, and he is more experienced than Mbete. And if we've got injuries, go for it. So yeah, I think I'd keep Spencer. So my back four would be Spencer, Hellick, Boyle, and Ruffles. And then I get what you guys are saying about Kamara, but I thought he actually had a good game last night. So I'd keep the two of Kamara and Kasuma. Thomas comes straight back in, obviously, goes without saying. I'd bring Ward in because I thought Rhodes was just kind of absent last night. No disrespect. But yeah, then my three would be Thomas, Redoni, and Holmes. I think Holmes is very good as a defensive winger. And I think we'll need that in this game. And then Wardy up front just to kind of run around. I think Kesler Hayden, though, should make the bench really for me, because I agree with you, Tom. He was attacking. From an attacking sense, he was getting forward and he seemed quite quick. Hopefully, you could just have someone running at him for tired legs. And yeah, Diarra was okay last night, so I think he deserves a place on the bench. So we'll see. To be honest, who knows what he's going to do? It's a bit of an interesting one. Go on then, lads. Let's talk about the prediction for this one. What we're going for, Dave?
0-0. That's about as positive I think I can get. But 0-0, I think just got to try and keep it tight for as long as we can, and then hope we can maybe nick something from a set piece on the break. But yeah, I think 0-0.
Yeah. I think we're drinking from the same punch, Dave, because I've gone 0-0. And again, that's just hoping, because I can't see us scoring. So I just hope they don't score. Tom, is it 3-0?
No, it's 1-1. I think we'll score. I think Sorba, set piece. Someone will get on the end of it. Nice. I don't think we'll keep a clean sheet, though. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So 3 draws there. Let's hope. But, we could win. Who knows? Football.
Never know.
Tom, we need saving, and some people want a hero to save them. Do you know who that hero is?
Neil Warnock.
He's enjoying his comedy circuit too much, isn't he?
Yeah. No, it's the amazing elbow.
I think the fans can probably see I was trying my best, working hard.
The amazing elbow.
As a centre forward, the last thing you want is a goal drought starting off at a club. Started on my own up front, and the really good centre forwards like Jordan were rested.
Take it away, Tom.
So let's get this over with.
Oh, come on. Right, I'm not having this. This is a shit season for Town. It looks like we're going to get relegated. The amazing elbow is going to be very important over the next couple of months. So I want this enthusiasm.
Yeah. All right. So there's a Mexican standoff. So we leave at there's a Mexican standoff between Neil Warnock and Kevin Muscat. And the votes came in their masses. I think it was nearly 40 votes this week, Brady. So that's good. And you voted that. He pulls out a whistle and Paddy Kenny comes darting in and headbutts Muscat. So this kind of comes out of nowhere and results in ... So what happens next after the Paddy Kenny headbutt on Muscat? Brady or Siddell, do either of you want to go first with this?
Go on, Dave.
Dropping me in it there.
Yeah, absolutely.
It results in a massive, massive explosion.
Ooh.
And it rains down Alex Pritchard's. 1,000 miniature Alex Pritchard parachute down from that explosion.
I like that.
Okay. I like that. What happens? Boothie comes on and talks through all the goals he's scored just to distract everyone.
Oh. I haven't got anything written down, so I'll just go with Paddy Kenny headbutts Muscat, and that results in an army of Millwall fans filing into the stadium, absolutely outraged that one of their sacred heroes has been battered.
You missed an opportunity that you could have had loads of Millwall fans start throwing towels.
Oh yeah, put towels in there as well.
Okay.
A Millwall fan charges in and throws the towel in for Kevin Muscat. There you go.
Hey, like it. Okay, cool. So your three choices this week are: you have it rains. There's an explosion and it rains Alex Pritchard's. I imagine they'll put his finger in their ears as well if they're near an explosion. It's quite loud. You've either got, or Boovy comes in and distracts everyone by talking about his favourite Town goals, or Millwall fans march on and start throwing towels. Throw the towel in for Muscat. That was a really bad London Cockney accent, if anyone was wondering. Okay, so they're the three choices. We're going to put it out probably in a week, and maybe at a good time when everyone's feeling a bit down. But you will be able to vote in this one, so we will see. Before we go, though, if you want to drown your sorrows, don't forget 10% off all online orders with the code AHTTT. Oh God, I got it wrong. Got it so wrong. I'll do it again. AHTTT. Oh God, I can't do it. AHTTC10.
And the charm.
We need to change the code so it's easier for me to say it out loud. It's a lot easier, spelled down. And that's at Magic Rock, obviously, who sponsored this episode. And I'm sure you guys know Magic Rock by now and all the good beers that they do. So thanks to Tom and Dave for coming on. Lads, anything you want to say to the listeners before we shoot off?
No.
Try and stay as positive as you can.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing to leave it on. And, it's a game for children. That's what we said. So, I'm sure that'll make you feel better. But hey, we're going to be here. Win, lose, or draw. Lose. Probably for the rest of the season, but we'll still be here. It's half an hour up the town.
Up the town.
So town play up. Bring the car back to Huddersfield.